This is a product demonstration of MicroStrategy Desktop, which is a brand new interface that we launched with MicroStrategy 10 as part of the release. And it allows business users to connect to data regardless of the type of source and to conduct visual data discovery on their own and to self-serve without any support from IT. I'm going to start with this demonstration by launching a sales dashboard, an MSDR file that we've saved on this Mac. You can download and install the desktop tool on your Mac or PC in a matter of minutes and get started with visual data discovery. By launching this tool, you can see how it invokes the thick client that has been downloaded and installed. As you can see with MicroStrategy 10, we've moved away from Flash, and this is a brand new HTML5 interface. You can see how we've positioned the data on the left. You can select all the visualizations from your right. What you're seeing here is a dashboard that has revenue information that has been plotted on a geospatial map. We've integrated with Esri, which gives you out-of-the-box mapping capability, complete interactivity, as you can see. Free licensing is available with the product, and you can readily drag and drop data onto a map to visualize information like revenue rather easily and quickly as well. If you'd like to interact with data on visualizations that are not out of the box, in this case there are several D3 options. In addition to D3, you can add any third-party or open source visualization into your analysis and drag and drop data in exactly the same manner and drill down on values. So if you have revenue data and you want to visualize some revenue over time, you can do that as well and really interact with the data to make it a much more enriched experience to make some insights on top of the data that you have. In addition to being able to add visualizations, you can add multiple visualizations and interact with them between each other as well. In this case, you can see how I can highlight certain data points on a map and use that as a filter with others. So there's extreme interactivity between visualizations that give you that rich analytical experience through the desktop interface as well. To add some additional analysis on top of that, you can even bring in new visualizations. So let's say this is an out-of-the-box visualization for me to be able to visualize revenue over time. I can do that and just drag and drop the relevant information from that panel onto the next one, and instantly I can plot all my information or revenue information on a date attribute that I have within my data set. And you can see how quickly I have that information and I can quickly observe any trend. If I want to make the trends a little bit more evident, and let's say I want to do this over a month and I don't have the month attribute, I can select the month option from this editor over here and really start enriching the dimensions within my analysis, even though it does not exist within my data source. So I can build these attributes on the fly, which really gives the analyst a lot more power to be self-serving. So I can just select and add month and instantly get that trend that I'm looking for, and makes it a lot more easier to identify some patterns within my data. MicroStrategy 10 has really added a lot of the analytical workflow and has exposed this with easy to use menu options. So for instance, if I want to add, let's say, a trend line, I can just go ahead and enable that with a single click. So this is a brand new feature with MicroStrategy 10 and really gives the analyst some savvy options to do some complicated analysis in a very easy manner. So not only do we expose these features, but you also have the ability to format it. So some rich formatting capabilities have been added into the 10 release as well. In addition to be able to create trend lines and forecasting lines, you can also enable that rather easily. You can see that within a single click I can start predicting values by simply enabling forecasting and forwarding that. In a matter of seconds, I can start seeing, let's say, for instance, I don't have values beyond April 2015, but now I can enable that. So that makes me as an analyst who does not have any training on building some complex metrics, but I have the ability to do some advanced analytics on my own now. And again, this is a testament to how the desktop tool allows analysts to do some enriched analytics on their own in a very self-sufficient manner. So that was done really quickly. To get started with showing you what the process is in terms of creating a dashboard from scratch, let's start with showing you essentially what the desktop tool is for those of you who are going to get started with it on your own. The process is fairly simple. You connect to a data source, you bring that data in, and you can start building your visualizations. In cases where you need to start doing some data preparation, you can do that as well with a brand new data wrangling capability that has been injected into the desktop functionality as well. So you can see this is the starting interface. As soon as you launch the MicroStrategy desktop, this is the interface that you will see. Here I already have some data, but if you want to bring in data, you can quickly start by clicking on this option, and you can notice how there are several options available within the desktop interface. You can choose from any of these native filters and options connectors that we have over here, or you can choose the database option and connect to multiple ODBC options to multiple databases, whether it's a SQL Server or Teradata or Netezza, and really bring in data. The key point that I want to make here is that you have the ability to bring in data from multiple different sources, and the experience is exactly the same. So whether you choose an Excel spreadsheet or whether you choose a Hadoop option, the experience is exactly the same, and there's no new learning curve. So you can do that fairly quickly. In this example, I'm going to start by choosing a cloud option. I'll choose my Salesforce.com account. It's a native connector. Again, notice how I'm not leaving the interface, and I'm bringing in information from my Salesforce account. It's one seamless workflow. So I log into the account, and now I can browse into my Salesforce reports and drag and drop data and bring that into my analysis. So by bringing that in, readily it converts the information within Salesforce and brings in those tables and columns and converts them into MicroStrategy translated attributes and metrics. There's no data modeling involved with the desktop, and it is a complete business user-friendly tool. And notice how everything has been done without any requirement for data architecting or modeling, and enables business users to start doing analytics on their own in a very self-serving manner. So once you bring in data, the next stage is to start visualizing the data, but oftentimes it's required for you to wrangle the information or prepare or cleanse the information. Data wrangling has been added as a seamless workflow. So let's say there's web channel in this table, and I want to remove that. I select the wrangling option, and I come to this graphical user interface, and I have multiple options over here to tweak and cleanse the way my data looks for improved analysis on top of it. For instance, in the city column over here, notice how there's some blank cells, and if I want to fill that, and fill those cells in, I don't have to take it into Excel. I just click on it and then select, from the recommended options, and it automatically fills down those values. Let's say there's some discrepancies within the values. Let's say there's Washington D.C. Washington D.C. No one wants two of those within one single table. No one wants two cities called Washington D.C. It just creates wrong analysis. So let's say if I want to consolidate that, I have the ability to do that from within this interface. So I just remove that, I change it to the way I want it to be, and I apply it to the entire table. And then instantly I can start recording all those values, and you notice how when I select something, it automatically makes some recommendations intelligently on its own. So everything is graphical in nature, and I can start editing it and making those changes instantly. Anything that I do is being recorded as a history script on the top right corner. So this is really a one-time process. So if I bring in data from Salesforce for the first time, and I constantly need to keep bringing it in on a daily basis, let's say when my information has been refreshed, I have the ability to reapply this history script so I don't have to do this over again. So there's a repeated automation that's built into this process, and instantly I can apply that from using this history script that's on my top right-hand column. You can do several other things as well with data wrangling and data preparation. So let's say I want to look at and profile my data and find any spelling errors. I can profile my texts based columns instantly, and if I want to merge and cluster some of them to create consolidated values, I have the ability to do that. Again, completely graphical in nature for me to be able to make these changes on the fly without breaking that process and taking it out into Excel. These are just some, minor examples, and you can do a lot more with this tool. There's dozens of functions within it, and we're constantly going to improve the way data wrangling has been seamlessly integrated with this workflow for business users to prepare their data. Once you've prepared the data, you have the data again, and it's been prepared for better analysis, and you can go ahead and visualize. With version 10, we also make it easy for you to be able to convert attributes and metrics. Some of them are automatically identified, but if there are some values like number of purchases, which is a metric, you can drag and drop that. Again, anything that you do here is completely drag and drop based, and it's fairly easy for you to do it in a very intuitive manner. The big difference with version 10 is that you can bring disparate sources in, and you can bring disparate tables from disparate sources as part of a single in-memory cube. This is a competitive differentiator for MicroStrategy, and we've introduced this with version 10. So notice how I can connect to a different source. We can bring in a table from another Teradata source if I want, or a Hadoop source, or an Excel spreadsheet like so, and really start making my analysis more complex as I want it to be, and make that simple enough for me to blend data and increase the cross-functional nature of my analysis. So now I have tables from disparate sources in one single cube, and I can create joins across them. Again, completely intuitive and very graphical in nature. I can again change attributes to metrics. If there aren't any joins between tables and I want to force it, let's say in the first column it's ID and IDs in the second column, I just drag and drop it onto the other, and I can map it, and instantly I have these joins that are created between my tables, and these tables can be from disparate sources. Again, a key differentiator for MicroStrategy, and using these graphical interfaces I can join and define these joins across tables and across sources. So I've made my data connection, I have cleansed it, and now I can go ahead and build my visualizations. So in this case, I have some customer profile information. Let's say I want to build a bar matrix to see how my customers can be profiled across age and city, and see how how loyal they are with number of purchases. And I can build a quick visualization on this matrix. And if I want to, let's say, enrich how the colors and make it a little bit more vivid, I have the option to do that as well by these formatting options that desktop provides. In this case, you can notice Toronto is a little bit different, so I have the ability to identify those trends quickly. To improve the way I can make these observations, I can also build custom groups on the fly. Previously, you had to open up a ticket, use IT help for them to create a new custom group for you. But with version 10, you can do this on your own. You can select items from a single group and consolidate them and create a brand new attribute called age bracket. So I have multiple ages. I'm just creating groups over here from 21 to 30, from 31 to 40 and whatnot, and thereby just creating these custom groups and on the fly as a part of a seamless workflow. And now from these multiple different data points, I can go down to 4 and make the trend identification a lot more easier. And you can see how it looks, and it's easier for me to look at my data and make my analysis a lot more robust. Let's say you have different preferences. This is a bar matrix. Let's say you want to visualize this data in a very specific format. Let's say you have identified this one visualization that you found on a D3 website, a Sankey diagram, something as complex as this, and you'd like to visualize your information with using this visualization specifically. This might not be an out-of-the-box visualization, but it is an existing open source visualization. You can build plugins with MicroStrategy. So include that as part of your analysis. All you have to do is, let's say, just close this out of this. I already have a plugin built for that visualization. A lot of these plugins are available on GitHub and the MicroStrategy community, and you can build plugins yourself. For this specific one, I already have the plugin. I just drag and drop that plugin into the installation folder path, and I can bring that into my analysis. So I'm going to relaunch this dashboard. I can bring it up and notice how that option is now available within my selection criteria over here. And then I can go ahead and visualize the data in a very unique manner, in exactly the manner that I want. So now I brought in that the new visualization. The great thing is you can interact with MicroStrategy Desktop with these non-out-of-the-box visualizations exactly the way you would with out-of-the-box organic visualizations. You can add dimensions and really increase the interactivity with it and maintain that. And use that as a filter, if you will, and enrich your analysis and do it exactly according to your preference. With desktop, you can do some advanced analytics as well. So I'm going to create a scatter plot in this section, and let's say I want to do this to create a loyalty program and segment my customers. I can plot all of my customers onto a visualization and then create a model using R analytics to identify loyalty programs. So I can use and generate this R model based off several different key attributes and metrics within my existing data source and really build an advanced analytical function that is non-existent. MicroStrategy does offer over 350 out-of-the-box functions. So let's say I want to use this clustering algorithm, a model from R, and include that as part of my analysis. I have the ability to do that. I simply copy paste that into this editor, and I've created that R metric. I just drag and drop it and apply it just like I would with any other metric. And in a matter of seconds, I have created groups or loyalty clusters to identify those the customers that are loyal, and I can create groups that I want to target them with marketing campaigns, specific marketing campaigns, and really do some cross-functional analytics on top of my data. The great thing about desktop is all this that I'm doing right now is in an offline mode. It's completely disconnected from my server, so as a business user, I have complete flexibility for my analytics. I have no restrictions, and I can have complete freedom to do what I want. The great thing about desktop is the ability to migrate to governed data discovery. As a business user, I can bring in data from my own sources and promote that to a centralized environment and share that and collaborate with others in a quick and easy manner. So in this case, if I want to connect to my server, all I have to do is go up here and upload this dashboard that was built on my desktop to a MicroStrategy project on a server that's on my intelligence server. So essentially, I just log into that, and I can save this dashboard that I built on desktop by creating that connection quickly and easily. So as you can see, I'm browsing through my intelligence server over here, and rather quickly I'm able to save this dashboard or update a dashboard that already existed on the server by creating that connection. So if I move to the web interface, notice how I can log in using my smartphone. I scan this QR code and I'm in. With 10, there's a lot of new functionalities. You can search and browse for dashboards quickly. So if I want to identify the dashboard that I just created, I just use the search tab and I can launch it in a matter of seconds. So you can notice that even with this new different web interface, the experience is the same. So whatever I built in desktop looks identical on web, so we have consistency across our different interfaces. This is the web interface, and now I brought in that dashboard, and the big difference here is I not only can browse through the data that I brought in from my external sources, but I can also access model data. And this really becomes the path to governed data discovery. I can also map back all of the information that I bought from disparate sources to my architected environment and really start leveraging some enterprise capabilities and start applying security filters and whatnot. So not only can I choose from model data and hierarchies that are available within my, my server component, I can include that as part of my analysis and make sure that I'm using trusted data as part of my analysis. Even if I want to add new data, the process is exactly the same. There's no new learning curve for the different interfaces, even though this is web. So let's say there are brand new sources. Let's say I want to build a custom data source from a website. I just copy the URL from a website that I want that has a table. I don't have to use some separate web crawlers, and I bring that information in, and it automatically identifies the tables within that web page, and I can select the tables that I want and bring it in. And notice how it automatically converts those values into MicroStrategy attributes and metrics, and even it identifies location. Countries identified as a location attribute. If I want to generate anything, if I, let's say, bring in, let's say, zip code information and I want to generate higher hierarchies, I have the ability to automatically enrich the data and bring in new information that does not exist onto my data source as well. I can either wrangle on this, or I can continue into my analysis and do some visualization on top of this and continue on the analysis that I was doing. So I've brought in multiple sources, I've promoted it into my enterprise server. I now have the ability to start building more visualizations and analytics. So let's say I want to build a new bar chart to identify which of my customers are more likely to make a purchase. We created a stepwise logistic.r model, and we want to leverage that as part of a MicroStrategy metric. And again, this metric has been generated. I just copy paste that into the editor, and I bring in a complex advanced analytics metric into MicroStrategy, and now I can quickly identify who is more likely to make a purchase and make some advanced analytics on top of that. And you can still maintain all the drill down sorting capabilities, keep it very interactive, and identify those cities. So as a worldwide manager, I can now distribute this out to all my regional managers who can now conduct those specific marketing campaigns and apply it to their territories. The great thing about MicroStrategy is that now that it's promoted to the enterprise server, I can leverage all of the enterprise capabilities, whether it's mobile, transaction services, distribution services even. So let's say I want to mass blast this out, this dashboard that was created on a desktop tool originally. Now using my server, I can send this using our distribution services capabilities and really create this option to start using data discovery at scale and sending out personalized versions. You can even automate this process and sending out these dashboards out to a larger group for some mass consumption of this dashboard. So I've distributed this out, so everyone who's a regional manager now has access to this dashboard. And let's say I log in as a separate user, and this has been shared, and this regional manager now has access to this dashboard within the report. This will now be personalized, can be personalized to them as well, because we have the ability to apply security filters on top of it. So if the regional manager runs this dashboard, notice how they only see information that is relevant to them. So there's that security layer and that personalization aspect to it as well, once you've been able to bring it back into the MicroStrategy enterprise server. As a regional manager, I still have complete interactivity, so I can drill down into any value and I can identify those customers that I want to do my targeted campaigns against. Let's say I want to consume this dashboard that I've created, originally on desktop, then promoted to web, but now I want to do it on a mobile device. MicroStrategy has native apps that are available both on the Android and iOS devices, and I'm going to project my iPad over here so you can see how you can run these exact same dashboards and maintain that experience across multiple interfaces. So I'm going to run this dashboard now on an iPad, and you can see that it looks exactly the same. Interactivity is maintained. You can annotate and then you can share. So let's say you want to highlight a specific trend. You're able to do that as well and create and add comments and really start collaborating with other users in the manner that you want, whether you want to do it via web, whether you want to do it via desktop or via mobile. You have the option to do that. So MicroStrategy allows you to create these dashboards on desktop and really gives you a migration path to leverage all of our enterprise capabilities to really make it a data discovery solution that has the means for governed data discovery and the means for you to leverage enterprise grade capabilities to make this truly enterprise caliber.